Hi everyone, and welcome back to the SIP here at Cal Academy. My name's Amy Jo, and today we're joined by Charles, who's one of the scientists that makes up this year's Summer Systematics Institute. So Charles, would you mind introducing yourself today with your name, your pronouns, as well as your university and major?
Of course. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Charles Bush, and I am currently an undergraduate student at Oglala Lakota College. It is a tribal college located in southwestern South Dakota on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And my major is natural science with emphasis on conservation biology. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Awesome, thanks Charles. And what are you focused on learning over the summer?
So this summer, it's actually we're doing research on scorpions and spiders. So I'm looking in with my advisor, who you know as well. Her name is Dr. Lauren Esposito. She's in charge of the program and one of the people who actually know is world renowned when it comes to the arachnology world. And so this summer, we're actually focusing on looking at all of the data of the scorpions and the spiders. And we're trying to extract the most purest DNA using various kits and methods. It's basically a very methodology that I'm utilizing this summer to see which one is the best for these different species. And it's actually a time series. So a time series is I'm extracting DNA from scorpions or spiders from like 1910, 1920, 1930s, 1940s, all the way up until present day. So it's basically going to find like a standard and be able to help everyone with their research.
Great. And you mentioned there being a varied methodology. Is that the time sequencing itself, or how does that work?
So basically, back in the beginning of the internship, we were all taught like a basic lab, like a run through of what we'll be utilizing, what we'll be doing for the summer. And so that kit is actually just like your basic kit. So there are different kits based on like the ratios of the chemicals used in each of them. So basically, we're trying to figure out like the perfect kit, which will get us the most purest form of scorpion DNA or of spider DNA.
Well, that sounds very interesting. Do you happen to have a favorite arachnid or scorpion that you've seen over the summer? Or one that you find the most interesting?
I would actually say scorpions because myself included, they're whenever I first came here, I was thinking like scorpions were like huge, huge things with like big pincers, like crabs, and like a tail that's gonna sting you. But like when I first got here, and I think it was probably within the first week of being here, we were camping out in Pepperwood, and Lauren turns around, and she's like, "Look, I found a scorpion," and I just like look at her, and she's holding it. She's like, "Here you go." So I just at that point, I was put my hand out, and she put it in my hand, and it was so small, and it's very, I guess, misunderstood because of just like the images of it out there, and it's a lot more gentle and more calm than you would think of it as being like terrifying and going to bite you.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've all had at least the opportunity to hold a scorpion this summer, especially at Pepperwood. Do you happen to have any tips for searching for scorpions? Like where would you find one?
Probably in any nook and cranny when you're walking. So under rocks and crevices, under old boards, under like an old tree, a down tree, um, even under like leaves. Just I guess be always vigilant anywhere you're stepping whenever you're walking or hiking.
Okay, great. Awesome. Um, have you learned anything interesting about when you can find scorpions? I know that there are arachnid walks. Did you participate in any of those this summer? Or like night walks to search for arachnids?
Yeah, yeah. I think we did, but they were more focused towards the scorpions because we were using the UV lights to help find them at night. Whereas, like, I'm sure there are some types of spiders that fluoresce under UV, but that wasn't the focus of the walk. So I'm sure we could, but like just finding scorpions with the ultraviolet light at night. That was pretty fun and amazing. I've only ever heard of it prior to then.
Mm-mm. Sounds great. Um, and I wanted to touch back on what you're doing in the lab, and I wanted to ask if you've learned any new lab techniques, perchance.
So as far as techniques, I would say it's definitely a struggle for me in the lab just because I don't have a depth perception. So I kind of have to like look at things from a whole other perspective than what I'm used to. And for me, that's a little bit challenging, but it just helps me to be like a little bit more focused if I have some music on in the background, if like, and especially if there's no one else in the room, like I get super nervous if like someone's watching me who I'm not comfortable with, and like that will just have me mess up. So like, yeah, it's I guess just not really lab techniques, but just learning how to operate in a lab on something that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing. Um, and also, your lab is located in the museum, and I wanted to ask if you happen to walk by any exhibits that catch your eye, or if you happen to have a favorite exhibit at Cal Academy.
Oh, I just love this whole place. Like, I'm usually out on the floor. You usually find me in the aquarium, the Steinhardt Aquarium, or I really love the penguins in African Hall. Like, those are my two favorite exhibits here. So I'm kind of like, you'll either find me over there on one end or at the bottom, like basically where my lab is. But
Nice.
yeah, it's amazing just to be able to be here in a place where there's research going on. I mean, most people who come here wouldn't think that there's active scientists below them who are doing all this research on sequencing DNA and trying to figure out a base pair, trying to find a base pair. And it's definitely such an environment that's just really inspiring.
That's lovely. And by scientists below them, like the visitors to the museum, do you mean literally?
Yeah, quite literally.
And the arachnologist at the very bottom, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I feel like we're in the dungeon. We like to call it the dungeon because we are at like the end. But we're perfectly fine and happy with that. We actually have
Happy.
a pet tarantula. She's a blonde-haired tarantula native to Arizona. Her name's Pamela. She's in the lab.
Pamela, because she's blonde?
I have no idea. I just stumbled upon her when I got there. I don't know her backstory
Yeah,
yet.
the Baywatch tarantula.
Right, right. I think she's watching us.
Yeah, she's tuned in.
Right, right.
Great. Um, and just one more question. I wanted to ask you if you happen to have a moment, whether it be one more recent or perhaps from childhood, in which you realized your love for science.
I guess for me, uh, science has always just been something that's been in my DNA. Since I was a kid, I was always asking questions. I was always asking why things happen a certain way. And being an indigenous person and having an understanding of the connections of the world definitely helps solidify like why I love science so much because we understand the process, but science really helps paint a picture of how that process happens. And so for me, it's like getting the best of both worlds, and I get to do that for school. And ultimately, I'm going towards my master's eventually. I plan to get that and ultimately my doctorates, but one step at a time. And right now I'm at the end of my undergraduate, and so I am actually looking forward to graduate school because this internship is basically giving me a glimpse of what graduate school is like for the degree that I want to attain and have. So it's really helping me, it's just solidify my place in this world and helping me understand just how and why everything happens.
Mm, mm, great. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining in today, Charles, and we love talking to you today. And we can't wait to see your project at the end. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Thank
and we'll
you.
see the rest of y'all next week, next Tuesday, I think. Awesome. All right, bye. Bye, Charles.
See you. Bye bye.